Bop! Howdy hey, this is Frakbox, and I'm here with TruBluBlur.
Long time no see.
So, as I was saying in the last episode, I feel dumb. No, I feel more ignorant than anything, I guess. Oh, you can attach the bombs to the arrows.
Yeah.
Nice. That makes... if only you could do that in real life.
Yeah, no kidding.
Make bomb arrows. Bomb arrows. Are you supposed to throw a bomb in there?
Pretty sure I am.
It might grow another thing if you don't do that quick enough, I think.
I need to separate them.
But yeah, I keep myself fairly educated, and I seem like a fairly educated individual, I think.
I missed.
You can't throw another one?
I just wanted to wait.
Probably have to do that 3 times like a standard Zelda boss.
I don't think so.
But yeah, so I feel like I'm fairly educated. People assume that I'm very educated. People are like, oh, where'd you go to college all the time?
Oh, yeah.
People ask me that, like, oh, yeah, where'd you go to college? Because I give off that impression, I think.
Right.
But no, I just do a lot of self-study. And, well, self-study is kind of a misleading. So because I never really studied all that much growing up.
Yeah.
So when I was in, say, high school, or I guess even earlier than that, I like never had to study.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
like not once. So I was the only thing I actually had trouble with in school was like math. And so growing up, I was like kind of a gifted kid, but I also had ADD. So you get help with neither, basically.
Right.
When that happens. So yeah, I basically was smart enough to just kind of like learn everything I needed to know from my classes, or I was able to pick up everything I needed to know from my classes. Did my homework in school, never had to do homework at home. Oh, that's danger.
Don't like you being there.
Well, that's very danger. Are you supposed to climb on that?
I need to get rid of this bat. This key.
Because you keep falling off, so it's...
Yeah.
But yeah, like I never had to study. I never had to do homework. Well, I never had to do homework in home. I just did it in school.
Yeah.
And so school was so easy that it was kind of a joke. And then, I got into college and things were still kind of okay. But whenever I did like a paper or something, I would get assigned the paper, do it, maybe that night or the night after, do one draft, not check it over again, just, run it through a basic spell check, turn it in A-. Like every single time. Like I've always had a fairly good grasp of like the English language, and I think we talked about like oh my gosh, we talked about that thought process of like the English language is very much a built-in part of my thought process. The concept of language. So
I remember that conversation for sure.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know, like things were just super easy, and plus like my mom's a teacher, so like I learned to read definitely at least a little early, if not, right on time as far as my development. So, and then I was constantly reading ecclesiastical words, so from like the Bible, that kind of thing. Like, because I grew up religious, so I was constantly seeing like Old English. So I was constantly reading things, and I was just a fairly inquisitive mind in general, and I really like dinosaurs because all the smart kids like dinosaurs in space.
I cannot disagree with this.
Because dinosaurs are rad. Do you have a favorite dinosaur?
I do. What
is your favorite dinosaur?
It is the Utahraptor.
Ooh, yes, that's a good one.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, that is a big boy. I for one am partial to the majestic iguanodon.
That's funny to me because that's not a dinosaur.
I know, not anymore. Yeah.
Oh hey.
But the whole thumb spikes thing was just appealing to me, I guess.
Yeah.
So the concept of having opposable thumbs, which it doesn't really have opposable thumbs, but it kind of looks like it.
Hey, right.
Because that sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. I think things with thumbs kind of are interesting to me. But,
yeah. Understandable.
Yeah, but like raccoons and sometimes cats.
Yeah, you're right.
You ever seen a cat with like what looks like an actual thumb?
Yeah, kind of an extra digit.
Yeah, it's sort of like there's some cats that sort of they like just full on look like they have thumbs.
Yeah.
Like it's not all of them, Like there was a friend of mine. I went over to his house the other day, and it's like his cat had this, and I was like, what? That's wild, absolutely wild. That lizard has a propeller on his tail.
It's actually blades.
Oh, well, I mean, what is a propeller but just blades attached to a circle? I guess.
Blades that can spin.
Yes. But what was I saying? All right, I'm dumb. So
that's not what you were saying.
So yeah, I mean, but it's also like I have this sort of inferiority complex because I assume that people know the same things that I know, and therefore like I'm just learning about things that like everybody already knows. But then I have a conversation with somebody, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. I never knew that before. And it's like, what? You didn't know this? Like
right.
I thought everybody knew like about the fall of the Ottoman Empire.
No.
You know, I thought everybody knew that Japan was closed for like centuries from outsiders, right?
Yeah. No,
or about basic
don't.
scientific concepts, you know. So I guess it's also hard to know like what the average level of ignorance is about a subject.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I kind of assume that there's something wrong with me in that like how do I word this? Like it's a like either I know too much or I know too little on a subject. And there's no like in between, right? Like I never feel like I know the proper amount. Even though technically like on a great many things, if you asked me like about one thing or another, like I'd be able to give you a fairly intelligent opinion about them, even if I don't necessarily know. I could be like, this is what I know, this is what I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's not good enough, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of complex that I have, I guess. Like I just never feel like my level of knowledge is good enough. And then if I know too much about a subject, I feel like I don't have the socially acceptable ignorance about a subject. Because there's a socially acceptable level of ignorance when you have conversations with people.
That's pretty true.
Where you're kind of just like, people kind of don't talk about things very deeply.
Yeah.
And they, everything has to have super quick answers. And it's why, you know, propaganda on the news is so prevalent, because the news very much, or just even media in general, kind of plays into this, where they just kind of short snippets. And everybody wants things so short. It's like, oh my gosh,
the sun. Jeez.
I thought an eclipse was going on or something.
No.
So everybody wants things so quick that you can't really dive into subjects. And so I want to dive into subjects, but nobody wants to do that. And they feel like you're weird if you do that. And so there's a socially acceptable amount of like, when you're going about your day talking about something, people don't want to learn things.
Yeah.
They just want to like live their life and like not have to think and not have to do any mental effort and not have to like feel like their worldview is being challenged, right? Because
for sure.
But I want my worldview to be challenged, right? Like I'm like the complete opposite that way. Like I feel like if I'm stagnant, if I find myself agreeing with everything that's happening, then I'm like, something is wrong, right? Because like clearly I'm getting too comfortable, and like, because it's sort of like an ideology sort of thing. Because like I'm getting kind of pseudo philosophical here, but pseudo political almost, but. It's sort of like everything is an ideology almost, where like, so it's kind of the reason why I don't play very many first-person shooter video games anymore.
Oh yeah.
It is because like you have to have an ideology where it's normal for this level of violence to be considered a like just average recreational activity that you're just participating in. That's an ideology. Right? And then not only that, but a lot of these first-person shooter video games, you're basically going to a third world country and shooting all these brown people, basically. And you have to, like these nameless, practically faceless brown people.
Right.
And you have an ideology where that's considered not a big deal. Like that's just the way the world works, and that is in itself an ideology. And so being more aware of like with the type of studying that I'm doing, because I talked about it a couple episodes ago. Like I'm doing a lot of reading about political subjects.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm not going to talk about too much about that. I'm trying to keep it as milquetoast as possible, basically.
Yeah.
But basically, literally every way that you interact with the world is a part of your ideology. Essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
So like
for sure.
like it's and so I feel like if I were to Is that going through?
Oh, oh,
Oh.
I see what was
Oh.
supposed to happen.
So
I did it wrong.
So I feel like if I get too comfortable the way things are, like that is my ideology sort of. I'm not explaining it very well. But I think you get what I'm saying. So it's like when you kind of analyze the world and you realize the way you interact with it and the way you participate, even if you don't necessarily have too much of an effect on it, it gets harder to enjoy things, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
there's truth to that. It just means you have to pick which things you engage in a little more carefully.
Yeah. Very true.
There are fewer things, but the things that you do still engage in can end up being enhanced for the same kinds of reasons.
It's sort of like that meme. I guess the point that I'm getting to is like the meme of like where it shows place and then a guy kind of like with a furrowed brow, like one of those.
Oh, I know what you mean.
And then it's like place Japan.
Yeah,
and then
he's
it's just
all
like
excited.
He's like, "Wow,
yeah.
this is great!" And it's sort of like that's an ideology.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Or like capitalism, furrowed brow. Capitalism, Japan. Like, or
Yep.
like like the New York Square where there's all those advertisement billboards. It's like this place, furrowed brow. Japan, like showing basically the same level of advertisements, but it's just nice and clean in Japan. And it's like, whoa, that's so amazing, and like anime and everything.
Yep.
Oh, you gotta lower yourself. Gotcha.
Yeah, I wasn't
Okay.
quick enough.
I didn't realize that's what we were doing, but I guess that makes sense. So that's problem solving for sure.
Indeed.
But yeah, so it's but that level of introspection is not really something people want to do. Right? And it's just so enraging to like engage with the world on like this kind of deeper level. And I don't want to say that I'm like super deep or anything, but like once you realize your flaws, you start to realize more of like you start to realize the world kind of more as it is. Right? Oh, look at that. I don't know. Maybe this is making me sound arrogant or something. But I don't know. I'm just more aware of my flaws than before. And I think that's both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it makes me feel more self-conscious about like my level of knowledge, but also about like how my actions affect the world and like what I'm doing, you know?
Definitely.
It's I think, yeah, anyway. I was not expecting to talk about any of that during this.
These things happen, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of that, we just ripped a soul out from a ghost.
We did, in fact.
That is an ideology.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
But
For
look, money. But it won't fit in your wallet, so we just put it back. Nice.
I've already filled up.
Being in Hyrule is like being in a really large, really inconvenient bank.
There is money literally everywhere.
Yeah.
It grows in the grass and the trees.
But if you can't physically lift it, then you just put it back and store it for later. And it's
ridiculous.
It's like the world's worst banking service. Although, like even like in what was it? Not Ocarina of Time. The one that came after that.
Majora's Mask?
Majora's Mask. They had that whole banking system.
There is actually a bank.
And he just kind of like, oh, well, I don't remember giving this to you because you go back in time.
Right,
it's like,
right.
Here's a banknote. Well, it looks legit. I didn't make it, but it looks legit. It's like you have a credit of this much, and it's like...
But how, though?
Yeah.
No one knows. Don't worry about it.
Through space and time. It's like, well, this looks legit, even though I'm the only person that issues these banknotes and I don't remember issuing it. Seems legit.
Yeah.
Banking was a new institution back then.
I mean, something like that.
Well, just waiting to go through
a link-shaped hole, essentially.
That's a thick wall.
Yes, it is.
My goodness.
How far are you going to carry me? Can I get up there?
Why did they need to make the wall so thick? What is this island floating on, exactly?
I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of propellers on the underside of it.
Huh.
Well, there's a chest down there. It's
Oh.
probably just money, but I'll check anyway.
Probably, yeah. Probably not a key or anything.
Oh, it's bombs.
Bombs!
Sure. Okay, I did use a couple.
Yeah. I'm guessing we're going to be using more if it's giving you more. So.
Probably.
So Deku seeds an item in this again?
Yeah, but you don't use them quite the same way.
Okay. It just seems like we haven't really... Yeah, it's interesting to see like the different items in Zelda games. How radically different the gameplay is. Depending on the items you have. Because it's theoretically the same world, right?
It is, but not the same era.
Right.
Like, their technology doesn't advance much until Breath of the Wild, basically. But yeah.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild is basically a post-apocalyptic sci-fi game.
Yeah.
Sci-fi fantasy.
You're going the wrong
almost.
way.
It's weird to think how like sci-fi and fantasy can interact that way, because it's like you don't think of it like you think of it as more of a fantasy game, but it's literally sci-fi.
Right, yeah. Generally that's my favorite, is when they blend the two well. You know, I like that a lot, personally.
Yeah.
It can also be poorly done.
Do you think Ooh, whoa.
Yeah, the sun.
Do you think I don't know how well like for this channel, I don't know how well like Breath of the Wild would work for a Let's Play though, for us.
I don't know.
Because it's very open-ended.
Right,
I think this channel very much thrives when we're doing more linear games. Just because I don't know that we're not super reactive to the video game, I think. Because like obviously we
kind of just play it.
We're playing the game, or we're kind of just talking about subjects. We're talking about things. Yeah, I don't know. Like, we're not like the Game Grumps or anything.
Right.
They're like, it's so funny. Like, like the Game Grumps are so funny. Like, I watched one of their episodes at a friend's house. They were playing Mario Maker. And just like the sort of way they just pull hilarity out of the air. It seems like they just like harvest it somehow, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand, because I'm not really a people person.
They're
really
comedians. You know, it is their actual job.
Yeah, I guess it's also
where
just
did that lead me?
Like growing up, like Aaron Hansen, I guess Ego Raptor at the time, was such an influential part of like my humor.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's like I think I've mentioned this on the episode before.
You have.
Yeah, because it's
You have.
Oh, Piece of Heart.
Yay, that's
Nice.
awesome. Okay.
But yeah, it's such an influential part of like influencing, like, I think internet comedy as well.
Yeah,
I think the
so.
general internet at large it definitely owes a great debt to Aaron Hansen for at least millennials. A millennial humor.
Yeah,
Very
for
much
sure.
influenced by Aaron Hansen. Even if you don't know who he is or you never watched him, like a lot of people were influenced by him, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My goodness. And then the glory days of back when JonTron was up. We've talked about this.
Yeah, we have.
We talked about this. Yeah.
We have.
Everything returns back to, it's sort of like how everything keeps evolving into a crab.
Carcinization.
Everything, all roads lead to Rome. All conversations lead back to the Game Grumps. It's the eternal truth. All roads. But you know, so I once watched a video where the secret of comedy, like this how to do comedy, essentially. Specificity. If you get more specific about something, it's generally funny. I don't have an example right now. So if I had like a canned answer for specificity, that would have been just icing on the cake. Speaking of cake, I don't really eat cake anymore.
You're right. You definitely don't.
But if I ate a cake, a nice keto comedy cake, I don't know where I was going with that. I thought it would eventually get to me. I was trying the specificity thing, but it didn't.
Oh man,
it didn't exactly.
That's too
land.
funny.
Well, because there's different types of comedy. There's like the slapstick, which wow, that was perfect.
How about some timing?
Holy crap. I've never. I don't think I can top that in my life. We should probably call the episode there because that was just there.
Sorry, we're done with all Let's Plays forever.
Just like we can't top that. So this is Frakbox.
This is TruBluBlur.
Have a great day.
Keep on running fast.